Good morning, students. This is Economics Express from Don Bosco Junior College. Today I am going to explaining this intermediate second year economics subject, first unit, economic growth and economic development. In this chapter we are going to discussing all these concepts of economic growth and economic development. Actually, economic growth and economic development both are very similar words. Both are explaining the development, but there is a small difference between economic growth and economic development. So why we are going to discussing these things? Actually, after the Second World War, all the countries wants to start their development. At the time, some countries are developed countries, some are underdeveloping countries, some are very poor countries. So that's why our economists are divided these topics to economic growth and economic development. So what is in this? So what is the differences? First of all, we have to know the economic growth definition and economic growth, what is explained in the economic growth. So economic growth means it refers to an increase in the real output of that country. A real output, increase of a real output in that country is called economic growth. And economic development refers to not only growth but also changes in socio-economic structure of that country. There is a lot of difference. Economic growth saying only growth, that growth means increase in the total output of that country. When countries increase their total output, that is called economic growth. But actually, the development saying the different concept. It's not only having the growth, but also having a progressive changes in socio-economic infrastructure facilities of that country. What are that one? If suppose any country wants to develop, that is easy for developed countries. Developed countries easily develop increase their total output. But in the underdeveloped countries or poor countries, it's not easy to start and it's not to achieve their development because they want to change their socio-economic structure, infrastructure and all the changes of the country. That means society changes like education, health, infrastructure, technological, all when they are changing all these things, they will get economic development. In this concept, we can see that growth, that means increase the total output and also changes in the socio-economic structure of that country. That is called economic development. And next point is economic growth is a single phenomenon. Economic growth is a single phenomenon. That means it's only one dimension concept. When we are starting and we are increase our total output of that country, we will achieve our goals. That is called, it's a single phenomenon, it's a single concept. It is easy for developed countries. Easily start the activities and we can achieve our goals. When we are achieve our goals, that means increase the total output, we can get our development. Or that is called like growth only. But development is a multi-dimensional concept. When we want to start this development and when we want to achieve our development goals, it is very difficult. It's a multi-dimensional. Already we discussed in the first concept. That is called socio-economic structure, infrastructure and all angles. That means it needs lot of angles. Different angles we have to start the development. Social changes, economic changes and infrastructure facilities and also technological changes. That means it's a multi-dimensional concept. Multi-dimensional concept means lot of angles, lot of concepts we have to increase. That means we have to increase in this subject. So that is that it's a multi-dimensional concept and it's a short-term process of economic growth having only short-term process like 1 year or less than 1 year or more or less less than or 1 year time we can achieve that our goals. When we start and when we achieve our goals, we need short time, a short period of time like 1 year or less than 1 year enough to develop that countries. That means enough to reach our goals. That means it's a short-term process. But economic development is a long-term process because it's a multi-dimensional concept. We have to change that social, economical, infrastructure, technological. So all these concepts need lot of time. These are not achieved in the single period of 1 year or 2 years. It needs lot of years, like more than 5 years or 5 years time we have to take to develop that countries. So that's why economic development is a multi-dimensional concept, and also it needs lot of time, long period time. And next point it explains about the quantitative changes of that country. Economic growth refers a quantitative changes of that country. Quantitative changes means like some amount of. Last year we have 100 quintals of production. This year our target increased to 150 years or 125 years. Some amount we can achieve. That is a quantitative. Quantitative means we can measure immediately. The quantitative changes are explained this economic growth. Economic growth is a quantitative changes. It's a short-term process. And long process, what about that one? Economic development. Development is a not only quantitative changes but also a qualitative changes. Quantitative changes as well as qualitative changes in a country. When we reach these things, that is called economic development. Economic development explains that quantitative changes as well as qualitative changes. We need progress in the growth, progress in the production, and also lot of progress in the other sectors like socio-economic structures. That is called a qualitative changes. Qualitative changes we can't measure in the quantitative method. Qualitative means it's a like matter of that changes of total economy. So that's why it's a quantitative changes, it's a qualitative changes. And next, economic growth does not indicates the, what about that one? A distribution of income and wealth. Economic growth does not indicates the distribution of income and wealth. It's a important concept and it's a logical concept. This like economic growth, which countries like developed countries we can see that this type of concepts. Economic growth means increase the total output, but we did not discuss about that distribution, how the people are getting that income, like laborers and capitalists or farmers or different sectors, all the factors of production like labor, capital, organization. What the capital, what about the factors of production, how they are getting that remuneration, we did not discuss in this. What about that economic growth? Economic growth does not explain the distribution of income and wealth. Just the capitalists getting more profit and they will start production, they will get income. The distribution is not important for this sector. Economic growth does not explain the distribution and wealth of that country, income of that country. But economic development indicates the distribution of income and wealth. Economic development is overall development. When we want to start our economic development, we will think about the distribution of the wealth and income of that country. What the factors of productions are getting, proper remunerations or not. If suppose only some people are getting more income, the some sectors will get rich, some sectors will get poor. We can see that lot of differences between the poor and rich. So that's why economic development indicates and explains the wealth and distribution of wealth and income in that countries. So it's a big process. It explains everything of that country. That means they have to get social justice in that country. So that is the development features. The development features explains that indicates the distribution of income and wealth, but growth does not discuss the income and wealth of that country, distribution of that country. And next, economic growth occurs either through active role of government or not. It is very, very important. Economic growth is not taking the part of government role, either not or either. That means it explains that when we want to start the growth, no need of interference of government. Without government also we can achieve our economic growth. Economic growth is not need to interference of government. That means any capitalist economy, any investors can start their development. When they invest more investment in that sector, they will get lot of growth in that country. But government is not compulsory to involve in that countries. But in economic development, we can see that without interference of the government, we cannot achieve our development. That means we can see without government role, development is not possible. Development is a multi-dimensional concept. We need changes in the social, economical and infrastructure, technological, all changes we need. So at the time, it's a long process. So at the time, compulsory government involvement is there. Without involvement of the government, economic development is not possible. So economic development is compulsory involvement with the government only, but economic growth is not compulsory involvement of government. And next point is there. What about it? It is relevant to developed countries. From the beginning, I am saying that economic growth is refers to developed countries. That means there is a lot of investment. Already they have some development features. They are already developed in the socio-economic structure. So that's why economic growth, that means they want to increase the total output of that country, that is whatever that related with only developed countries like America, Switzerland, Japan, Germany, England, these countries, that countries are developed countries. Economic growth is refers to developed countries only, but economic development is relevant to underdeveloped countries. Economic development related with underdeveloping countries. That means which countries are not having proper income, like India, Pakistan, and other related countries. Which countries are not having proper development? These countries are underdeveloping countries. These underdeveloped countries' main intention is economic growth and also economic development. This economic development is related with underdeveloping countries. Best example is India, Pakistan, and Nepal. These countries like this. So this is the economic development. So economic growth and economic development. Economic growth means increase in the total output of their countries. Economic development means not only growth but also changes in economic and social structures. It's a single dimension. Development is a multi-dimensional. It's short-term process. Development is a long-term process, and it's a changes in quantitative, like quantitative changes. It's a quantitative plus qualitative changes. And next, economic growth does not indicate that distribution of income and wealth, but development is indicates the development, distribution of income and wealth. And what about that one? Economic growth occurs active role of government or not. Government role is not compulsory, but in the development, government role is very, very important. Economic growth refers to developed countries. Economic development refers to underdeveloping countries. Okay, thank you.